We'll get started in just 1 minute. Thanks everyone for joining us today. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have everyone here for our Q2 2025 quarterly webinar from the Stellar Development Foundation. I'm Ellen Canali. I am the head of communications here at SDF, and I am excited to have you all here. Today, we're going to walk through our strategy, our goals, where things stand, and where things are going in the back half of the year. This quarter spotlight, we really saw continued growth on the network in the industry, and we had new leadership join here at SDF to help us scale even more. So joining us for the quarterly today are SDF CEO and Executive Director Denelle Dixon, Chief Business Officer Raja Chakravorty, and Chief Product Officer Tomer Weller. And we're also going to welcome our two new SDF leaders, Jose Fernandez de Ponte, President and Chief Growth Officer, and Jason Karsh, our new Chief Marketing Officer. We're really excited to have them, and I'm excited to introduce them to all of you here today. So Danelle's going to start with our North Stars and our 2025 growth goals and the progress that we're seeing and anticipating through the rest of the year. We're going to look at where usage is growing, monthly active addresses, DeFi momentum, and RWAs. Raja will dive deeper into ecosystem moments, PayPal bringing PYUSD to Stellar, and 3 years of MGI. And Tomer's going to walk us through our technical roadmap updates and progress. What shipped, what's next, including the biggest protocol upgrade we've had in a while, Protocol 23, and how it's making the network faster, cheaper, and easier to build on. Last but not least, we will cover the marquee Stellar event of the year, Meridian, which is coming up here in September in Rio. And it promises to be another awesome showing. We hope that you're all joining us there. So then we'll open it up for Q&A. And if you all remember, please send your questions anytime during the Zoom through the Q&A function. The earlier you ask, the more likely we'll be able to get to it. And just keep them rolling through the call, and we will take them at the end. And now it's my pleasure to hand it off to Denelle to get this call started.
Thanks, Ellen. Hello, everyone. It's really nice to be here. Q2 was another big couple of months for the industry. Circle's IPO, Tether's rumored entry into the US alongside an early Q3 passage of the Genius Act in the United States, and it had the industry buzzing. And Stellar continues to benefit from these major milestones with new eyeballs on the industry, new conversations and partnerships are materializing and getting done. It's been really fun to see. At the end of 2024, we set our sights high, 10x growth across the network in DeFi, RWAs, and monthly active users. We set big goals, ambitious by design, and we're driving hard toward all of them. We're not there yet, but the momentum we're building is undeniable. A healthy Q1 and strong Q2 progress are positioning us for massive acceleration in the back half of 2025. This foundation matters. Remember, at the end of Q2 2024, Stellar sat at just 17 million TVL. The groundwork we've laid over the last 12 months, especially in H1 2025, has us poised for the kind of growth that compounds very, very quickly. So everything we've built over the last 12 years has led us to this moment of opportunity. The pieces are in place, the projects are building, the infrastructure is proven. So how are we accelerating from here? So let me start with introducing two new leaders that have joined SDF to power our next phase of growth. I'm really, really happy to welcome Jose Fernandez de Ponte, our President and Chief Growth Officer, a builder with a very deep track record in payments and partnerships, and Jason Karsh, Chief Marketing Officer, a category builder with experience across tech and Web3. Their mandates are simple and awesome. We need to scale. At a time when our industry is looking to prove it's ready for adoption, we aren't just talking about adoption. We're doing what it takes to accelerate and bring Stellar to new heights. Jose, I'd love for you to take a minute to introduce yourself and give a sneak peek into your first 90-day focus.
Thanks, Denelle, and hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Between my first AMA last week and this today, it has been great to connect with our community so quickly. A quick note on my background, building on what Denelle said. I've spent years scaling financial services for millions of people across the globe. I've been lucky to work on payments and commerce in Europe, in North and South America, in Africa, and in Asia. And the lesson that I've learned all these years is simple. Utility and trust win. When rails are fast, are low cost, and compliant, adoption follows, which means millions of users at scale and across the world. You were asking, Denelle, why now and why Stellar? Because Stellar is the blockchain for financial services at scale. It is open, it is reliable, and it has a fantastic ecosystem. And we are seeing already household names that have chosen it to build world-class products. I have been watching Stellar from the outside for a long time, and I have watched the intentional and strategic build that has been happening on the network. And I believe this network is positioned to not only meet this moment of adoption, but to lead it. In my first 90 days, my focus is going to be on three things. First of all, listen to our team, to our ecosystem, and to our partners. Second, I will be looking for the highest leverage points where we can really move the needle. And third, I will focus on shortening the path from idea to true scale. Stellar is the trusted, compliant, and top-of-mind production-grade blockchain. We have been at this for a long time, and now we are stepping on the gas pedal. So you will see more go-lives, more users, more utility, and more real volume. 2025 is an inflection point for this industry, and there is nowhere I'd rather be than at SDF, supporting Stellar through what promises to be a transformative time for blockchains. Thanks so much, Daniel. Back to you.
Well, thanks, Jose. I am so happy to have you on board. Jose and I have been working together for several years, obviously, when he was at PayPal, and it just makes me thrilled to see that we're going to bring this kind of talent in a lot of focus. Next up, I want to welcome Jason Karsh, our Chief Marketing Officer. Jason has a track record of turning clear narrative into pipeline and distribution. What's his focus? Sharpen how we tell the Stellar story. Make it easy to say yes for builders and businesses and amplify the proof that's already happening on chain. Jason, welcome. Tell folks what has you the most excited about Stellar and what you're driving for in your first 90 days.
Thanks, Denelle. I'm thrilled to join the team. Excited to be here today. I've spent my career helping companies and products grow and scale, from Google to Coinbase, blockchain.com to Block. And sort of following on Jose, why SDF, why now? Stellar is real financial infrastructure, fast, low cost, and already in use by institutions and everyday people. As I spend more time with the team, I'm excited to help tell the story of why the Stellar tech stack is uniquely qualified for this moment. At its core, I believe that the network and the underlying tech is our differentiator. From Stellar's innovative consensus mechanism to the differentiated smart contract capabilities and the continued innovation happening, like the feature shipping in Protocol 23 in just a matter of weeks. My team's job is to make it clear to founders, enterprises, and partners that building on Stellar is great for business, great for growth. So that's what we'll be thinking about for the rest of the year. Stay tuned for more, and back to you, Denelle.
Well, thanks, Jason. When Jason was going through the interview process, one of the things that I told him is I wanted a CMO that was going to make me uncomfortable and push me to do different things. And I think Jason is sort of up for that. And he's already been doing that since he's been here. So it's great. Okay, a quick reset before we dive in. Let me touch on the North Stars that guide our work, just to refresh ourselves. First, open participation, innovation, and governance are necessary for a future-proof and sustainable Stellar. Second, a focus on everyday financial services, solving real problems for real people and businesses. Third, ship a technology stack that users and builders can trust, open, secure, and reliable. These guide every call we make, and they're the guardrails for this year's growth path. With that, let's dive into the 2025 growth goals and how we are tracking against them. As I said earlier, these goals are big, and they represent SDF's clear-eyed focus on growth this year. So first, we're driving toward 3 goals. Land top 10 in DeFi by TVL. And for us, TVL, total value locked, isn't a vanity stat. It's a signal of growing ecosystem that is delivering on the full stack of everyday financial services like lending, borrowing, and saving. Second, We want to reach top 10 on Nansen's monthly active addresses index, a signal that projects on Stellar deliver real utility to real people and businesses. Not about what launches, it's about what gets used again and again. And then finally, 10x the value of yield-bearing assets, real-world assets on Stellar's from last year. So 10x that value. We only count yield-bearing assets, so not stable coins. It's a high bar that reflects institutional-grade issuance and long-term value. We want Stellar on every shortlist when every institution asks where they can issue, scale, and stay compliant. These are big goals, and we're excited about the progress we've made in the first 6 months of the year to set us up for the rest of the year. We did not expect linear growth, and I think that's really important. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but we've landed big deals, are shipping technical updates that will make Stellar faster and more scalable, and have a pipeline of integrating new assets as we speak. Let's first talk about DeFi and where we are against the top 10 goal. At the end of Q2, TVL sat at 84 million, and Stellar's DeFi rank on DeFi Llama was 48. That's an increase from 50 million in Q1, which is a $34 million increase in a single quarter, and a 10-slot jump from the Q1 rank at 57. Now, a sneak peek, today, TVL on Stellar is nearly 153 million, coming in at number 37 on DeFi Llama, so we've already made progress. Stellar's TVL took a 66% jump from Q1 to Q2 and has taken a subsequent 82% leap from Q2 to today, approximately 194% growth year to year. This is a tremendous growth relative to most every DeFi ecosystem. There's still a ton of work to be done to get to our goal of top 10 in TVL. But Q3 should see continued TVL expansion following our successful Q2 bridge integration with XLR, opening new pathways for capital and other chains with more exciting integrations and bridges to be announced very, very soon. So TVL growth is exciting, but let's take a deeper dive in what's driving it. Under the hood, 5 protocols have now each hold more than 10 million in TVL, a milestone that shows real depth, not just one-off bursts. The mix keeps getting healthier as well. DEXs, lending, and other DeFi primitives are also contributing. This diversity isn't just healthy, it's powerful. Having 5 protocols, each with over 10 million in TVL, is proof that Stellar can work across the full spectrum of DeFi use cases. We've got lending protocols, DEXs, derivative platforms, all thriving on the same infrastructure. That diversity shows Stellar is not a one-trick pony, limited to a single application. As TVL grows, so does the builder momentum. In Q2, we saw an exciting increase in developer contributions. We saw an all-time high of monthly active devs of more than 950 in the month of May, and 2,800 net new developers contributed code on Stellar. In Q2, Stellar averaged 126,000 daily contract invocations, with 5,094 contracts deployed, up 151% quarter on quarter, and also an all-time high. At this momentum, it's global. Hackathons at Consensus in Istanbul drew over 500 hackers with over 100 project submissions, bringing new teams and new ideas to Stellar. So what's the takeaway here? More teams building and deeper liquidity across multiple protocols is contributing to making this 11-year-old network one of the fastest growing ecosystems out there. Now on to monthly active addresses. We held steady in the top 25 on Nansen, currently at 24. And while top 25 is not the goal, we are seeing encouraging and consistent usage with the users we do have. More on that shortly. Under the hood, Q2 hit a high water mark of over 600,000 monthly active addresses, while the first month of Q3, that's July, was already up at 768,000. So we're focused on building on that progress as the quarter continues. Q2 saw success helping drive wallet growth through targeted programs. Our newly launched user acquisition pilot added 7,079 weekly active accounts and 605,000 in wallet TVL. SDF marketing grants supported ecosystem projects looking to reach new users and new markets with approximately 1.2 million in grants. An SCF project monthly active addresses climbed 36% quarter on quarter, from 84,000 to 114,500. Now, on the wallet side, yield features are really doing all the work. We are seeing that wallets integrated with Blend are seeing lifts in growth, retention, and balances, this is actually showing that it's more sticky and that it's demonstrating real active users. Blend is now integrated into Meru and Beans, and both have seen meaningful results after adding the Earn feature in the app. This is a great signal that users are looking for and sticking with features that give them access to financial tools. Blend is on track to integrate with more Stellar wallets next quarter, and we are looking forward to showing more traction with everyday users in Q3. Bottom line, the focus on practical financial tools is working. Users are finding real utility, and that's driving sustained, deeper engagement. When you build financial tools that actually work for users, adoption will stick and grow. Now, Raja is going to take it from individual users to enterprise adoption with growth highlights for the Stellar disbursement platform.
Thanks, Denelle. On the enterprise side, the Stellar disbursement platform keeps proving product market fit, successfully getting payments into hard-to-reach places. $2.8 million has been processed year to date with Cura Wallet and the International Aid Society onboarded. GIZ's use of SDP, or the Stellar disbursement platform, scaled to 400,000 euros dispersed per month to hospital staff in Syria. And we have active pilots with UNDP, the World Food Programme, the Norwegian Refugee Council, Hope for Haiti, and the Rainforest Alliance. This is the everyday finance story: fast, compliant payments that people can actually use, all without needing to know they are using the blockchain. Now, a key piece to this working in the real world, when those users need cash, they can tap into Stellar's industry-leading global on and off ramps. Stellar's global reach is unmatched in crypto. Our MoneyGram partnership, now 3 years strong as of Q2, powers the world's largest crypto-to-cash network across 170 plus countries. Now, this isn't just about coverage, it's about access. With a single integration, applications and enterprises can instantly tap into new users and markets worldwide. And users get blockchain's power and efficiency while still having access to cash when they need it without needing a bank account. With approximately $30 million processed to date, the data shows us that, 1, people are using this rail for remittances, last mile payouts, and everyday needs, even in tougher markets. Stellar is a gateway to new markets and new users for any builder, enterprise, or institution. This is one of the many partnerships that has set Stellar up for the moment of adoption. Stellar has engaged users, innovative wallets, and the reach. But what are the people getting access to? So let's talk about RWAs on Stellar. Okay, so to check in on the status of RWAs, our goal is $3 billion in yield-bearing RWAs. We use a tighter filter here, no stablecoins. And at the close of Q2, Stellar had $494 million on chain. And today we're sitting around $496 million, up about 16 million quarter on quarter. So what's driving it? Well, first, Benji keeps compounding. Wisdom Tree is up roughly 40% year to date, from $15 million to $26 million. And the pipelines, importantly, are broadening, especially across European markets. With the growth goal progressing, let's take a look at total RWAs on Stellar. Total RWA supply closed Q2 at $655.6 million. We expect to see this grow exponentially in Q3 as new assets are announced. Yes, more are on the way, and others go live. So now let's talk about volume. In Q2, we saw $4.2 billion in RWA-related payments move through the Stellar network. This is up from $3.4 billion in Q1. Think of this as increases in cross-border payouts where speed, predictability, and low fees matter for everyday operations. Adding to this momentum, Stellar remains number 2 in the industry by market cap in tokenized treasuries. The significance? Well, this positions Stellar as a proven platform for institutional issuance. Nothing builds credibility like results. And when institutions see others succeeding on Stellar, adoption accelerates. Denelle, let's talk about how we're expanding distribution from here.
Let's do that, Raja. This was one of the big moments of Q2. We announced that PayPal is bringing PYUSD to Stellar. What does Stellar offer PYUSD? Well, we think it offers global reach. Stellar brings PYUSD to 170 plus countries with wallets in nearly every region, turning PYUSD from movable to usable on rails built for speed and low cost. It also brings aligned use cases. Stellar is the chain for fast, affordable, cross-border payments, payment financing, PayFi, and everyday commerce. PYUSD users gain access to financial services already thriving on the Stellar network. So the bottom line, Stellar's purpose-built for exactly what PayPal wants to do with PYUSD. Fast, cheap, real-world payments at global scale. They care about velocity. So what does PYUSD mean for Stellar? It's validation. When a massive regulated financial company like PayPal chooses a blockchain, it's a huge vote of confidence. It signals to other enterprises that the network is stable, compliant, and ready for serious financial applications. Massive user base potential. PayPal has 430 plus million active accounts and 35 million merchants. If a small percentage use PYUSD on Stellar, that's enormous user acquisition for the network. And finally, more utility and volume. Unlike many crypto projects, PayPal has actual business use cases and transaction flow. PYUSD isn't just speculative, it's used for real commerce, remittances, and payments. PYUSD is just the latest, an incredible pipeline of blue chip assets coming to Stellar. SG Forge, Ondo's USDY, additional assets from Etherfuse, plus continued expansion with Wisdom Tree and Franklin Templeton's Benji. These aren't distant plans. They're actively integrating now with go live dates throughout Q3. And there are even more on the horizon. Each new asset brings exponential value, more volume, more users, more builders, and more real-world utility. PYUSD is another proof point that Stellar is where mainstream players want to build. Behind these partnerships and milestones is a deliberate effort to build credibility and presence where it matters. So let's take a look at our presence and credibility in Q2. At ECC InCon, we led multiple sessions on RWAs, utility, and security, supported by side events, out-of-home advertising, and a healthy run of podcasts and media. At the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, Operations Conference and Exhibition in Orlando, we met the operators, broker-dealers, custodians, and auditors where they are and made the case for compliant rails and tokenized assets alongside our partners, DTCC, and Wisdom Tree. At Digital Asset Week, we sat on stage with PwC and US Bank to focus on moving from pilots to production and what responsible innovation looks like when it comes to leveraging blockchain technology. And at Permissionless, Tomer joined leaders from Google, Bridge, and PayPal to talk about how Stellar is advancing stablecoins, RWAs, and payments at scale. The press kept pace with coverage in CNBC, Bloomberg, The Street, and CoinDesk. And Vasari issued their famed Stellar Ecosystem report and its Stellar portal to keep us up to date with all things on Stellar. Our message this quarter, Stellar is reliable, trusted, and building for everyday financial services. So let's zoom out and do a quick health check on the rails everything runs on. 3 questions matter. Can we handle scale? Is it affordable? And is it reliable? Well, the short answer to each of these is yes. And so what's the proof? We're now at 19.6 billion total operations all time, with 588 million in Q2 alone. The average ledger close sits at 5.67 seconds. The average fee per operation, it's 0.00038, just fractions of a penny. We're at 2,283 days without a network interruption. That's big. And about 9.7 million unique addresses and climbing. This is why partners treat Stellar as payments-grade infrastructure. Fast finality, predictable costs, and uptime that you can build a business on. How does that stack up? In Q2, Stellar processed 255 million payments and 588 million successful transactions, which remember on Stellar are called operations. These averaged, as I said, 0.00038 with 0-second finality and 5.67 seconds of block times. Translation, for payments, cost, and finality, they're what matter. Stellar is near instant and free. So speaking of the tech and what that makes it all possible, Tomer's going to take us through what we're going to do to make Stellar the best chain to build on.
Hey everyone, thank you, Denelle. Let's get into it. So a lot has happened in Q2, and we have even more planned for Q3. So let me dive into what we shipped, what's coming, and how it helps our builders get to production faster. But before I dive into releases, some quick reiteration that builders are here and they're active. So in Q2, more than 2,800 developers wrote code through developer workshops and events. Kale, which is this fun proof of teamwork project, drove engagement. There are more than 5,300 total Kale addresses, totaling more than more than half a million invocations per day. Regional activations and hackathons like Consensus Toronto and Istanbul Blockchain Week brought in more than 1,800 hackers and in excess of 420 project submissions. So Stellar has more people building, more code running, and a shorter path from idea to shipped product than ever before. Okay, let's talk about the roadmap. We're halfway through the year and making significant progress on the scalability and usability of the Stellar network. On scalability, we've laid the groundwork for accelerated adoption. We've added parallelism in Stellar Core, both to remove networking from the main thread, but also to allow disjoint smart contract invocations to run in parallel. This is a massive change to the code base and a huge performance unlock. Additionally, for smart contracts, we're aggressively caching modules and states, which in turn translates to reduced cost and significant increased capacity. Our theoretical TPS test is currently sitting at over 2,000 TPS, and this is before updating the test to utilize concurrency. So we expect a big bump soon. On latency, we've introduced fine-grained configuration parameters for SCP. This allows validators to vote on timing configuration options, which opens the door for reduced block times. And we're going to start reducing these very soon with a goal of hitting 2.5 seconds block times. We're also fortifying the network backbone. So our recently published validator trust framework lets more top-tier independent operators join, so resilience goes up, and so does decentralization. We're working with the ecosystem on introducing 6 more tier 1 organizations by the end of the year, doubling the tolerance for failures of the Stellar network. On usability, Cap67 gives developers one clean event stream for mints, burns, and transfers across all Stellar assets. With that, Stellar RPC becomes Stellar's primary modern API. This means simpler, cheaper, and a cleaner developer experience. To speed up building, Scaffold Stellar is a batteries-included starter kit. You can go in no time from idea to prototype with sensible defaults, less decisions, and best practices. And finally, if you want to deploy your own custom token, OpenZeppelin has you covered with an assortment of out-of-box features, such as royalties, access controls, allow lists, deny lists, Merkle distributions, and a lot more. All of these are written and audited by OpenZeppelin, one of the strongest engineering teams in the industry. All these protocol features I mentioned, concurrency, caching, unified event stream, and many more are all part of the Protocol 23 upgrade. This is the biggest protocol upgrade since smart contracts launched on Stellar, and it's already live on testnet, and we can't wait to see it live on mainnet with a September vote. And obviously I might be biased, but I truly believe that there has never been a better time to build on Stellar, and with more builders and institutions coming into the space for the first time, Stellar is ready. Back to you, Denelle.
All right, well, I get to talk about one of the most fun things, which is Meridian. Tomer, are you going to Meridian?
I think so. Do you want me there?
I do. Mostly. Meridian 2025 is in September. It kicks off with Hack Meridian on September 15th and 16th. It is truly one of my favorite times of the year for us here at SDF. It's because the builders, the regulators, policymakers, operators, and investors get in the same room and they make real progress. And frankly, a lot of them just get to know one another, which is what I've always said that we are, is a convener to bring people together to be able to establish even more opportunities for growth. So we're taking it up a notch with deeper ecosystem support and more connections to be made. We will have hands-on workshops, live pitches with VCs and mentors, tailored networking, deeper investigations into what's working, and hopefully candid discussions about what still needs to be solved. I can't wait to see Pantera Capital, Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree, LATAM Powerhouse, Bank, and more on stage with us in Rio. So registration is open, and you can check out all of our speakers and the agenda on the Meridian website. And I really, really hope to see you in Rio. Before we take off, I want to bring Jose back just to kind of double click on what's ahead for Q3 and frankly for Q4 and the opportunity for growth. I mean, Jose, you've been here 28 days. Like, you must have a view or a vision for the rest of the year.
Yes, thank you, Denelle. And they have been 28 intense days. Let me share with the community a little bit of my views here on what is coming up. As we said at the beginning, we are the blockchain for financial services at scale. And what is coming up in the next weeks and months is consistent with that. Over the next months, you will see some of the biggest names in payments and asset management that will continue to go live on the network. At the same time, the community continues to generate projects, wallets, and protocols that are reaching already the scale-up stage. Think about it for a moment. If you look at TVL on DeFi for the last year, TVL in aggregate grew 2x. TVL on Stellar grew 9x. So we are growing 5 times faster than the ecosystem. I have not seen a blockchain that has been growing there as fast. And most of that volume is coming from projects and protocols that were originated by the community. And as you heard from Tomer, we are continuing to deploy the plumbing that allows developers to build on infrastructure that is independent, that is open source, and that is permissionless, which in this time, the evolution of our sector is exceedingly important. So I'm super excited about what is coming up in the next weeks. These are not pipe dreams, as Denelle was saying, and Raja. Many of those are in integration and are coming up live very, very quickly. And also looking forward to seeing you all in Meridian again. Back to you, Denelle.
Yay, Meridian. I love to bring back to that. Okay, so let's bring it home. The first half of this year, we laid the foundation. We need to see big acceleration through the end of the year. On the tech, Protocol 23 features are going to make Stellar stronger, faster, and developers' lives easier, we hope. On Reach, PYUSD on Stellar was announced, new assets are coming, and others continue to scale. On usage, wallet programs turned signups into weekly activity. TVL is growing, and real payouts keep moving on Stellar. The rest of the year, we're going to continue to stay focused. Scale what works, instant payments, compliant assets, and developer-loved tools.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, so we had a bunch of questions that came in. Please continue to put them into the Q&A, and we will get to them if we can. But I think it's probably makes the most sense to kick us off with the question, I think, on most people's minds, especially after the big news day yesterday with both Circle and Stripe plans to launch new L1s. We had a lot of questions about this, so we're going to try to hit it all at once. So if you ask, we'll try to hit it with an answer. So Denelle, what do you think of the news of yesterday, both coming out of Stripe and Circle?
It's a great question. It's one of the things that I think innovation and competition actually creates more value for builders and for end users, whether those be businesses or individuals. And I think that open public networks that allow and remove intermediaries are key. It's important to be able to think through what open public networks can help to do. So when you think about Stellar as a layer 1, you have bridges, you have connections to the financial institutions like Circle, like Stripe, And then you have connections to all the other financial institutions. So the beauty of openness is that you're not in a walled garden. You're not sort of stuck in the same place. I saw the same thing happen in Web 2, where there was like beautiful openness on the web, lots of building, lots of creativity. And then there was a consolidation. And obviously we ended up where the web was mostly owned by 5 companies at one time. When we think about financial infrastructure, that cannot be the answer. The answer has to be that the open public networks win. And why is that crucial? It's crucial because you don't want to have intermediaries or entities that are centralized have to be in the middle. That's a really important part of something like Stellar. We've been building for 11 years. We have been told time and time again that we are not going to be able to make it and that we're not going to be able to be successful because there's so much competition out there. And guys, I just want to say being OG is kind of cool now. And when you see the market move to what we're doing and what we've been focused on, which is payments, asset issuance, which is making sure that the compliance is there and that we've actually thought about all of these things that builders and enterprises need to be able to make this work. We've done that work. And I welcome everyone to this because frankly, it makes us all better. So I'm not fearful. I'm like more excited about the fact that we're seeing a lot of opportunity and growth and challenge. And it only is going to make us all better and frankly, make the tools better for all of you to build on.
All right, thanks, Denelle. Okay, everyone's on camera, so here we are. Okay, Raja, this came in. We talked a little bit about this through our presence where we sat on stage with DTCC and and Wisdom Tree. But a question came in asking about if we could elaborate on Stellar's involvement in DTCC's tokenization initiatives. What specific role does Stellar play? And is it actively contributing to the DTCC's tokenization efforts and in what capacity? So I'll hand that one over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're big fans of the DTCC team. I think at the high level, as DTCC actively builds its infrastructure for on-chain tokenized settlement of traditional financial assets, Stellar is a compatible and supported layer 1 that's partnered in that effort. I think importantly, Stellar's asset issuance model with its native asset control features and institutional grade uptime and performance aligns really well with what DTCC needs to do. We've actually built a really strong relationship with Dan Doney, who's the CTO at DTCC Digital Assets. And we're actually very familiar with Dan from his days at Securrency, during which he actively actually contributed to Stellar's work on regulated assets. So there's a tremendous amount of synergy there. And I would be remiss not to mention that Nadine Chakar, who's DTCC's global head of digital assets, is actually going to be coming, in fact, to speak at Meridian. And there's a lot more to come on this partnership.
Yeah, in fact, I'll just throw a little note in there. Dan actually and the Securrency team are one of the ones who helped us build the clawback functionality on the Stellar network. And that's a really important piece that's allowed regulated financial institutions to be able to build. So go Dan and team. And also we're super excited to have them be a part of our ecosystem.
I was going to say, yeah, and just to echo Raja, don't miss Meridian because Nadine will be there. So more to come there. Lots of fun happening at Meridian. Okay, I'm going to kind of keep it here. So I'll keep it with Raja for a second. We got some questions around just the number on our tokenization goal. So I think it's a nice segue from the conversation about DTCC, which is so Stellar has a lofty goal of 3 billion this year. How are we achieving it? And does Stellar work with Ondo, which I think you touched on, Raja, in earlier in the quarterly?
Yes, yeah, Raja. How are we achieving it?
How are we achieving it? Well, I'm very glad you asked, and Denelle, I'm glad that you reiterated that ask. So a couple things. So just on the Ondo point, yes, we are close partners with Ondo. Ondo, I think we had issued the press release, I think maybe back in February, that we had come to a partnership where we are going to launch USDY. Ondo's asset on the Stellar network, and that is still on track for the second half of this year. On that note, this is exactly how we're achieving it. We have spent a tremendous amount of effort through the first half of the year working with asset issuers across the globe. But particularly, we've had a lot of success in Europe, working directly with asset issuers, as well as through some strategic partnerships we have with PwC, as well as other channel partners to drive a lot of new asset issuers onto the network. Now, importantly, one of the foundational items for us is making sure that when organizations issue assets, that they issue it well, that we've really thought through how that partnership will grow, and we think about it as a sustainable drive. And so I'm very, very excited for the growth that we expect to see through the back half of this year. Getting to 3 billion would be an amazing goal. And I'm really focused on seeing us grow rapidly. Denelle, I'm sure you have other things to say.
Yeah, well, I think that there's a path to it, right? There's a path to the number. The number is crucial and the number is important. But what's more important is that one of the things that we started doing about a year and a half ago is really thinking through with each asset that comes to the network. If we're working with the asset issuer, we want to have that plan that Raja just mentioned. And that is actually more important. What is unique about the asset? What is the market that they want to go to? How are we going to help them to develop that? What partnerships do we need to be able to bring to the network to make it work for them? So we always need to be very strategic about this. So it's just not come and dump a bunch of assets on Stellar and then they just sit. We want those assets to grow and have value to businesses and end users. And so the number is crucial, but the path to that number is, I think, almost more important. So we'll see how the team does for the rest of the year, but I'm excited about it.
Awesome. I think a quick follow-up to this just came in, which I think is pretty relevant to the answer that you just gave, Denelle. It's great to see PYUSD on Stellar over the next couple of months. Do you expect bigger impact to be scaling today's use cases, merchant checkout, Venmo, P2P, or unlocking new ones like cross-border remittances, payroll, etc.?
Well, the good news is all of those things are actually on Stellar and they're already like being unlocked by other assets that are out there. And I think PYUSD is uniquely positioned specifically for merchants, but also for wallets, like just to be able to leverage that from users, for users in those wallets and for businesses. So I think that all of the things that you just mentioned, or maybe the question just mentioned, are some of my favorite uses, like that we see on the network and in wallets today. And we just need to, again, like you always need to be thinking like which regions are going to be the best for these assets and for those use cases. We see a lot of really interesting, like if you think about companies that are filling the data, the databases for AI, they're global and they're all over the world. Well, a lot of those wallets in Latin America are working with those companies like Scale.io to be able to bring in these users and get them paid, like the folks who are actually doing the work on the edge. And so that is a super amazing use that actually delivers a ton of value to the business, but also to the end user. So I think we're going to see all of it. And the team is like really well poised to be able to deliver on all of it. What I want to see more of is I want to see more merchants. I also want to see it be that users don't actually have to convert out of their digital assets and they can leverage it at merchants. And I know that seems like it's actually a simple thing with QR codes and all those things that you can leverage today. But I actually think we're going to see more of that in LATAM. And I think that there's going to be a huge opportunity there.
Okay, I didn't say last question before this, but this is the last question, and I'm going to hand it to Tomer, and I'm going to give you a double question here, Tomer. So it says DeFi, the impressive growth on DeFi is exciting. Congrats on the protocols. Could you share who are the main users of these protocols and services? And along with that, how are we bringing more into the protocols? We announced last year Allbridge. Are there more high quality bridges coming to Stellar?
Sure. So on the DeFi front, I'm sure that anyone who has heard me speak in the past couple of years has heard the term like cash to DeFi and how that's the biggest value proposition of Stellar and Soroban. And I think that we're seeing this play out in real, which is amazing. So basically, you have use case wallets. Beans and Meru are the first ones who are directly integrating with DeFi protocols, whether it's directly through Blend or through some aggregator like DeFiNdex. And we're seeing that once you have this foundation of whether it's remittances or a foundation in the form of just like holding stable coins as a hedge against local inflation, then offering on top of that a yield-bearing instrument that, from the user's perspective, looks a lot like a high yield savings account is extremely sticky. And what we're seeing with Meru and Blend, Meru initially and now Blend is, Beans, is that this is very sticky. People that sign up for this are sticking around and they come back every month and they top off their balances. And we're also just seeing that this is also good for the wallets. So the wallets are seeing more attention from these type of users. So this is good for everyone. It's something that's extremely unique for Stellar. And it shows how Stellar is actually increasing the pie rather than trying to reallocate the existing small crypto pie. Very exciting. Regarding bridges, yes, we a few years ago we announced a bridge bounty. All bridge, both core and classic, came out of that, which is a great bridge. Axelar also came out of that. Axelar are currently live, but Squid Router is not live yet. So the bridge is live in terms of actually having an interface to use that with. We're hoping that will launch in the next few weeks. So it's getting there. There are a few things in the pipe, and I don't want to ruin any announcement, but I will promise that by the end of the year, we're going to have at least 3 meaningful bridge announcements on Stellar.
All right, awesome. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for everyone who joined today. Denelle, Raja, Tomer, Jose, Jason, every single one of you listening in. We appreciate you guys coming and spending this time with us every quarter. We'll post the webinar later today for those of you who are dying for another listen. And we will see you back here in Q3. So we hope to see you at Meridian. Get your tickets, and we'll see you soon.
in Rio. Yay.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.